More than 80 large wildfires are burning in 10 western states.
The fire exploded to more than 50,000 acres.
Right, cheatgrass is everywhere, and firefighters say that it is practically gasoline for a fire.
Anything but, and in fact could be one of the worst in American history.
An invasive species is non-native or alien to an ecosystem and causes economic or environmental harm. Many times, these species developed in a similar system and are well adapted to aggressively invade a space without traditional competition, and in the worst cases, create a complete monoculture, a plant community dominated by just one species. Some of the invasive species most prevalent on rangelands in the western U.S. are exotic annual grasses, such as cheatgrass, medusahead, and ventenata. They have spread aggressively. Over 100 million acres are estimated to have been invaded, and that continues to grow rapidly. Invasive annual grasses are a top concern in rangeland ecosystems because they degrade wildlife habitat, outcompete native plants to reduce biodiversity, and increase available fuel for fires, turning natural fires into destructive megafires. These annual grasses complete their life cycle before perennial grasses. This creates dry, highly flammable fuel earlier in the year, extending the fire season. The presence of these invasives also often dramatically increases available fine fuels and the continuity of that fuel, leading to hotter and faster-moving fires. These frequent megafires make rangeland more fragile and vulnerable to invasion. Post-fire conditions are ideal opportunities for annual grasses to outcompete perennial plants. Encroachment leads to an unfortunate downward spiral, leaving fewer and fewer perennials and eventually a monoculture of the invasive itself. This results in higher likelihood of fire, and so a damaging exotic grass fire cycle is perpetuated. To illustrate, let's take a look at the Mahogany Fire Complex that burned over 40,000 acres in southeastern Oregon near the iconic Oahe Reservoir in the summer of 2002. Following the fire, we see a switch in the dominance from perennial to annual, and the trend appears to continue. This story is not unique to this fire. It is all too common, unfortunately. Fire does play an important role in the rangeland ecosystem. It is especially helpful in controlling conifers, but more frequent, intense, and large fires, megafires, are concerning because of their effect to the ecosystem and harm to key plants and wildlife species. The constant threat of megafires has become an emotional and economic burden for local communities, states, and federal agencies. Following fire, the restoration efforts are expensive, time-consuming, and not always successful. Prevention is the key. We need a resilient rangeland that can resist the invasion of exotic species and the devastating damage they can cause.